Hi, everybody. This is Sakutian. I hope y'all are having a good day. Give me just a couple of seconds to get everything set up here. And we will get rolling along in just a minute. I'm just doing all my pings and all that good stuff. Boop. And boop. And let me send this out. I don't like doing the Discord ping until like... And I didn't actually ping anybody earlier, so haha, joke's on me. Hi everybody, this is Sakutian. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I am doing, well, this is Stings, Wings, and Other Things. If you don't know, if you've never made it to one of these before, this is one of the things I do where I just hang out and chat. I talk about magical or supernatural creatures on these. I think they're really, really cool and interesting, and there's a lot that I want to talk about, and we did one recently. Usually I only do these once a month, but I did a very, very small one on the Yule Cat for the holiday stream too. So I was like, oh man, I love the Yule. The Yule Cat was just like super fun. That's in the Winter Holiday VOD. I also played Dishonor, so if you like Dishonor and you like hearing about magical cats, you can go check out that VOD whenever you like. So that's not, yeah, it is on YouTube. It's on YouTube already. I published it earlier than I usually do, because it's wintry, it's holiday stuff, and I'm like, let's just get it out here before the window for that is limited. This really cool illustration, which is the cover for Stings, Wings, and Other Things, was drawn by my friend Flora. She does a very, very cool... She did my BRB screen and my Starting Soon screen. Flora is very cool. You can find all of Flora's info on my About page, and there is also the link to Flora's X, or Twitter, if you want to use that. Flora does stream, and she runs a really cool server about, I forget the exact name of the game, but it's like a dinosaur role-playing thing. She works in that, and she's one of the folks who runs that. It's very cool. So, some of you are like, what the hell are we doing today? What is this one about? What is Saku here for? I am doing this one, and this one was one that I am excited for. I'm honestly always excited for these. If I wasn't excited for something, I wouldn't do these. Let me grab something really quick here, because it's kind of appropriate. It's kind of appropriate. I have my Redeem art, but nobody really like. It's one of the downsides to being a small streamer is when it's slow, folks don't do the redeems as much. But I have this redeem. And that is in the way, so let me just make it a little smaller here. That's art of me as a cat person. My friend Atomic drew that a while back. So we did the Yule Cat last time as like a mini Stings, Wings, and Other Things. This time we're going to be talking about the Demon Cat of Washington D.C. or D.C. It also goes by the nickname DC. If you've never heard this story, if you have never like stumbled upon it, it's one that I read when I was a younger Saku, and it stuck with me because like it was really creepy. It was just a creepy, scary idea, and I would like tell people about this story, and no one would be like, that's not a real thing. You made that up. That's not a story. And then like nowadays it's like, oh, well, just like, look, it is a thing. Here's the internet. So I was excited to kind of share this with you all and talk about it a little bit. I like talking about ones that... Hi, Atomic. Like, some of them are bigger. Like, we did the one with my friend Prism about unicorns. We did one with my friend Liara, and we talked about kelpies. I'm trying to think of... We did horses. We talked about magical horses with my friend Lara. And then I've done a bunch of these that are solo ones where I talk... For the solo ones, a lot of times I keep those to like the weird out there creatures that people maybe haven't heard about as much. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about DC, the Demon Cat of Washington. And aside from the fact that I read about this one when I was younger, so it stuck with me, there was another reason. I spent a lot of time living in and around Washington D.C. So it's a city that is special to me. It's a cool place. There's a lot to do there. There's a lot of really cool museums. There's some really amazing libraries. There's galleries. It's a place that has an enormous amount of history. And if you go to DC or you go to, honestly, like even like Maryland and that area, there are a host of like ghost stories and ghost tours and historical ghost tours and like, there's some supernatural weird business going on here. DC being DC, there's innumerable historical events and innumerable of activities, and like you always are gonna have people like, oh man, this city must be like super haunted. It's full of ghosts. They're gonna like get your feet. This one I like. I really think it's a cool story. So I'm just gonna kind of give you a general once over of DC. Again, DC is the nickname for the Demon Cat. So the Demon Cat is also referred to as DC. It's a ghost cat in American folklore that is purported to haunt the government buildings of Washington, D.C. It's alleged to haunt the White House and the United States Capitol building. Okay, so I am going to add a couple things to this. What the hell does all of that mean? So let me grab a quick picture here. Give me just a sec. I'm going to shrink that because we don't need you right now, but thank you for doing that art. It is appreciated. Okay, I am looking for an image that I literally just put here. Why don't I see the image that I just put here? OBS. Don't be a pain in my booty. Don't be a pain. That isn't it. I'm just looking for this image. Ah, here it is. It's huge. Oh god, that's way too big. Alright, let me shrink this down. Shrinky, shrink, shrink. Shrinky, shrink, shrink. And pop. This is like the image that's all over a bunch of the articles and books about DC. It's just this black cat, like, peeking over a wall. So DC has been purported to have been seen by numerous people in multiple places. The two most common are the White House and the Capitol building. These are the two places. There are also some like outlier statements that they've seen DC. I saw DC like at the Washington Monument or things like that. The two that I would say are the most credible are the White House and the Washington and the Capitol building. Those are the two where he seems to pop up the most. Yeah, he's looking at you. He's peeking at you. He's gonna get you. He's gonna peek around the corner at you. I have an emote that's kind of like that. Boop. Just a little peek. Just a little like, hey, how's it going? DC is not necessarily a black cat. Like most of the artwork depicts DC as a black cat. Some accounts do report that they saw a black cat. There's also been artwork and reports of a tabby cat. So I think more and more like the folklore is leaning towards black cats because black cats are like, oh, black cats are like supernatural. If you see a black cat, it's bad luck, or black cat, black cat, black cat. And I also did just want to comment, like, please don't be mean to black cats because you think they're bad luck or anything like that. Some people are not nice to black cats. Sometimes they do mean things to them because they think they're like bad luck or they're cursed or they're cats. All cats deserve love. Please be nice to the animals. Don't hurt them. So, DC is one of the oldest stories for Americans that has kind of been passed around. DC has been getting reported since the 1800s. He's still, like, the story's still going around. I'm like, wow, DC's an old cat. DC's, like, been around. The story goes that back in the day, when mice and rats were a major problem in the capital, they decided, they're like, well, we have one tried and true method for dealing with this. Let's bring in some cats to, get these mice. And then we won't have to deal with it anymore. Which is kind of what they always do, and they're like, okay, well, how are we going to deal with this problem? We've got all these mice. It's an issue. We need to get rid of them. So they turn to, we'll just get cats to do it. I don't think it saved that image. I'm going to see if I can just save it really quick. Give me one sec. Like, it'll say it saves stuff sometimes, and then it doesn't save it. And it's like, can you just save what I had? Also, I hate the fact that they bring in... I'm just going to do screenshots. Screenshots are just easier. Because, like, nowadays, like, everything's like, oh, did you want us to save that image? No, we're not going to save that image. We're going to hide it behind 6 layers of crap. Let me see here. That is the image I wanted you to save. Congratulations. Alright, give me one sec, everybody, sorry. And visit, and save. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there were roughly like 300 cats that they brought in to do this. And there are like articles, I will post, I'll show you all this. Alright, and I'll show you all this one too. DC is going away, so we'll bring DC back later when we don't have other stuff to look at. Alright, so check this out. Oh my god, that's the smallest image ever. Uncle Sam's cats. 300 of them employed by the government. Yes, this is DC. DC is the demon cat. DC is the demon cat. Okay. So they bring in all these cats to basically deal with the fact that, like most major cities, there are mice, there are rats. They are difficult to cohabitate with. I want to be hired to be a cat. You have to eat mice. You have to eat mice. Do you wanna be a cat still? They're gonna bring you in and make you eat rats. You gotta eat them, bones and all. Ah. Actually, wait a sec. I'll even add something to this for you all. We'll go for the full experience here. Da, da, da. I don't have my, you don't want to eat rats? Well, then you can't be one of the DC cats. I'm sorry. They only want cats that are going to eat mice. Again, this was the whole thing. And like, this goes back historically, and there's a lot of, and I don't want anyone to come away with a negative notation about mice or rats or anything like that. It's a pretty common trend in history throughout humanity, through most of human history, that they'd be like, well, we got rats because we have food, and the rats want the food, and we don't want to give the rats our food. What do we do? And they'd be like, well, what if we just kind of made them go away by having cats in the equation? Flip. And that generally works pretty well. Cats are, naturally good at getting... Now, No. Stop that. No. You are not going to do this. You are going to behave. Thank you. There. I will be a cat for today, too. So, yeah. And this is the Evening Star. This is the, you know, it's like a little like, oh, look, there's cute. I should move over. I'm taking up way too much space. Give me a sec. I'm never satisfied with what I'm doing. Okay, that's better. All right, so the Evening Star, they bring these cats in, and people are seeing them, and they're like, oh, okay. They are kept at the post office to protect the mail's departmental cats at Washington. Pussies of the White House cats. The swarm... Cats that swarm the Capitol. So they bring in 300 of these cats. Probably more, probably less. Who knows the exact, you know, like... We'll be less concerned about the exact number, but around 300 cats are brought in. And I have this other image I can show you all, too. And this is an illustration. So do with this what you will. This is like, basically guards going through the buildings of... And this is from 1851. This is basically like, you know, they're looking for rats. They're looking for mice. They're like, oh, man. Because, like, think about it. Rats and mice eat food. They eat papers. They rip stuff up. They're pooping everywhere. And in some instances, there is also concern of disease, like with the bubonic plague and things like that. I'm not saying that any of the rats in Washington were responsible for the bubonic plague. They weren't, obviously, but there is the fear of disease. And that is a very... And especially, like, in old cities and things like that, that's a very real fear. That, you know, rats are gonna spread, especially... And, like, D.C., Philadelphia, all of the cities of, like... Probably, I would say... till the 1900s. And even after that, like, you know, these cities were just plagued with disease. You would just, like, you know, there are, like, historical accounts and letters and things of, like, being like, yeah, we leave the city during the summer because it, you know, the diseases are just everywhere. You know, they'd get, like, different fevers and pox, and, like, people would just, like, go, well, I have money, I'm going to go out to my estate in the countryside and be not plagued with diseases. And that's what they would do. And it was also before the Sanitary Revolution, which is a really interesting part of history. Okay, so here's what the Sanitary Revolution is for people who don't know. There was a guy by the name of Jon Snow. Not from Game of Thrones, but same name, different guy. He had this theory, and what he theorized was that cholera and other diseases that were just major, major problems for civilizations were not created by, like, just mysterious clouds of disease or, like, random factors. It was the way people lived, and he was 100% right. Because what were people doing? Well, what people were doing was they would go and take their waste and dump it in the street. And it would contaminate the groundwater. And then people would drink the groundwater that was contaminated with waste, and they would get diseases. Isn't that awful? Like, and then this guy basically told doctors, he told everybody that he could think to tell, I think we can stop these diseases. We know I'm gonna prove that this is a thing. And they, on multiple occasions, were just like, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. Only one person listened to him, and ultimately Jon Snow died. Unheard, except by this one other guy. And what came of it was eventually they were able to convince people of what was going on. Yeah, it's like it's a repeating pattern in history that people with the correct information often aren't heard in their time. So he basically worked with yeah, they used to be like, it's like miasma. And this is a famous thing. He worked with the cholera outbreak in 1854. And up until that point for cholera, people would be like, it's miasma. It's bad smells. It's the air. He he did a bunch of studies, and he basically, like, you could do a whole thing about Jon Snow and epidemiology and the Broad Street Pump. They have actually done one for a series I really like called Extra History. He is considered like the father of modern epidemiology, though. And let me just grab something. I just want to get the dates right for him. Let's see here. Cholera. I'm trying to remember the name because Jon Snow sticks in the head. Let's see. City of Henry Whitehead. Henry Whitehead was the guy. The other guy he worked with. Henry Whitehead was a Church of England priest. So imagine there's like this guy, these two guys are just like going around. He's kind of the only one who really listened to him and actually helped him with his study. Maybe not the only one, but he was very, very important to his work. So Jon Snow dies. And his partner in all of this, Henry Whitehead, finally convinces people. And what took place after that is what's known as the Sanitary Revolution. And what happened was they literally raised cities. They lifted cities off of the ground, building by building, street by street, to build modern sewer systems under them to conduct waste. Think about what I'm telling you as we say these dates. The epidemic and when he was doing things were the 1850s. He was dead by 1858. He did his study he started his studies really in like 1854 as far as cholera and epidemiology and things. I want you to think about how crazy it is that two guys not only changed medical science forever, but they also convinced people who were like, no, it's the bad air. And they're like, no, it's not. We can save lives. And not just that the people listened to them eventually, and if they had listened sooner, they could have saved a lot more people. They took an enormous amount of action. They literally just, like, lifted an entire... Like, if one city had done this, that would be like, oh, wow. Holy crap. They did this in... Not every city, but, like, if you're, like, most of Europe adopted this. The Americans adopted this. Like, modern cities are built differently because they know that, like, we can't just have people dumping their poop in the street. We can't. It gets into the groundwater. And then you get cholera. And then you look at people now who are like, there's no such thing as blah, 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 blah. COVID was spread by blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, there was a guy in the 1850s who could wrap his head around this. Don't be stupid. But, so disease is often connected to animals. In like accounts, like people will be like, oh man, rats are dirty, and they get into the grain supply and they eat it and they poop, and then everyone gets sick, which you don't really want rats pooping in your grain. The fact that we have a acceptable number of rat turds like on a sheet, and like, this is the number of rat droppings we're allowed to find in your products before we say that they're unsafe. I'm like, that number should be 0. That number is 0, my man. 0 is the number of rat turds I find acceptable in my cereal. 0. None. I don't think that people would do this shit today. Like, for real, if you told modern governments, like, hey, disease is caused by XYZ thing, and we have to fix it, I don't think they would do anything. Like, think about how long it takes to get a pothole filled, and the quality of that work. I really don't think I think we'd still have cholera today, as like as bad as it was in the 1850s and the 1800s. Um, so basically, like the people who worked in DC and the government were like, well, we can't just have rats and mice roaming around eating everything and pooping everywhere and probably spreading diseases. It's not gonna be a good time. We need to do something. So they bring in these 300 cats. And this is just a picture of some of the guys like looking for rats and mice. Because like before that, they're like, well, we'll just have the security guards do it, or people will just be doing. People aren't good at catching rats and mice. We've never been good at it. They've always used animals to do it in one way or another. Let me grab this. Okay, so these are two of the cats. These are two of the cats. Look how cute they are. I don't think these are the actual cats, but these are like the two cats that like they would talk about the most in connection to this were Dirty and Mary. Who they'd be like, these Dirty and Mary, the two cats who are two of the cats. You know, it's like everything else. They're basically trying to get people to think they're doing a good job. Like, yeah, your city, like, you know, you don't want people to come into your city and be like, ew, your city's gross, man. It's infested with rats. So let's get back to DC here. All right, let me get DC. DC is too big. DC, you're huge. I'm just gonna leave you like that. There. I'll put this up here for you. Okay. So DC is purported to be one of these cats who basically, eventually, like, the cats were no longer in Washington, D.C. for one reason or another. But the story goes that DC never left. DC just kind of hung around. And now some people say DC is a ghost cat. Some people say he's some kind of cryptid. Some people say he's a demon cat. Demon. Wait. I have a better. He's a demon cat. Hi, Atomic. Atomic, you're literally the only one here. You don't need to do the hi, redeem. I swear to God. I swear to God. Okay. So. DC hangs around. And DC's story essentially goes that people... So you had continue to have the guards who are stationed at the White House and the Capitol building. And they're the ones who purportedly see DC. And I'm going to read some of the accounts of what they say they saw. So let's go in here. Okay. So, according to legend, DC is seen before presidential elections and tragedies in Washington, D.C., allegedly being spotted by White House security guards on the night before the assassination of John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln. It is described as either a black or a tabby cat, which we talked about before, and is the size of an average house cat. However, witness reports that the cat swells to the size of a tiger or an elephant, said to be 10 feet tall and 10 feet long when alerted. The cat will then either explode or pounce at the witness, disappearing before it managed to catch its alleged victim. Okay, so we have to go through a couple parts of this. A lot of the accounts are like, DC basically starts out as the size of a cat, like a regular house cat, and changes size, seemingly at will. Accounts vary. Some of the accounts put him, like, you know, at the size of, like, a tiger or a panther, or used as descriptors a lot. Others are like, he's as big, he can get as big as an elephant, like, huge, massive, giant cat. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. And usually he's seen by the security guards, which makes sense because, like, you know, and he's also been linked to, like, the sightings are usually around, like, the ones that, again, the most accredited sightings that I was able to pull up and come across in the research for this. Um, the the John F. Kennedy assassination, the Lincoln assassination, and the stock market crash. Those are three. Other like sources will be like, oh yeah, they saw him before, and I think it's really interesting because you see JFK and you see Lincoln, and like those are two very big, historically significant assassinations. But I did want to bring up really quick. There is no mention of him being cited that I could locate anywhere for when James Garfield was assassinated. Which, if you want to learn more about James Garfield, he's an interesting figure in American history. I really recommend checking out the new Netflix series, Death by Lightning. There's a lot of cool stuff, and it's really, really well done. So if you like history, go check that out. It's really cool. Or if you just like more history stuff in general, I recommend checking out my friend Momo Tornich. Momo is a cool streamer who does all sorts of neat history streams. I'm over here just kind of delving into like magical weird stuff and touching a little history today because it is relevant to talking about this magical creature. So it's like, okay, Lincoln. Well, yeah, Lincoln was probably like tied for the if you think of like presidential assassination, like Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. Garfield was also assassinated, but he lived through getting shot. And then he died from his injuries like later. Which sucks, because imagine like you get shot and you think you're okay, and then it's like, well, he's dead within like a month. Like, oh shit. He died because people were bad doctors. Yeah. Yeah. And if he hadn't died, we probably would be in a better state than we are now. But I digress. DC is being seen by these people. DC is purported to be, okay, anytime there's going to be a big disaster or like an election or an assassination, you're going to have someone report that they've seen DC. I do want to read a little bit more here. And he's not eating people. I also wanted to stress that. He doesn't he'll chase you, but he doesn't get you. Which I think is a fun little part of his story. He's like, I'm going to get you. And then he just disappears. Some accounts are he just disappears. Some here he just vanishes. He's not cute. He's the demon cat. He's terrifying. In the 1890s, the cat is said to have inexplicably vanished when Capitol guards fired guns at it, and another guard is said to have died of a heart attack after seeing it. So DC didn't kill that guy, but he did die of a heart attack, according to at least one story. The demon cat was allegedly seen in the final days or aftermath of World War II in the 1940s. So again, a big event, the end of World War II, or around that time. So this is where we're going to get into someone trying to debunk it. So according to Steve Livingood, the chief tour guide of the U.S. Capitol Historical Society, the Capitol Police Force was notorious for hiring unqualified relatives and friends of congressmen as favors. These men would frequently be drunk while on patrol. Livingood believes that the legend began when a security guard who was lying down in a drunken stupor was licked by one of the Capitol building's cats and mistakenly assumed it to be a giant cat. Livingood states that upon reporting the incident to his superior, the guard would have been sent home to recover, and eventually the other guards found out they could get the day off if they saw the demon cat. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. So, what they're saying is hey, these guys who were Capitol guards were all drunks. They're all basically, they are the hirees of nepotism. They have friends, or they're not qualified. They don't know what they're doing. That's why we had to bring in cats. This dude got falling down drunk, and a cat wandered up to him and licked him, and he's like, "Oh my god, I saw I don't drink. I don't know how drunk you'd have to be to think that you saw a giant cat because a cat got close to you and licked you." Like, come on, man. That you're reaching. You're reaching. Even a drunk person can generally tell the difference between a giant cat and a regular cat, I would think. How drunk do you have to be like, I saw a cat? Like, my cat jumps on me. Percy jumps on me when I'm, like, asleep. I'm not drunk, but I'm asleep. And, like, I'll wake up and be like, he feels like a giant cat because he's a big fatty. And he stands on me. Cats have this way of, like, standing where it's like, even if you have a small cat, they'll stand and they put, like, all their weight in, like, the ones. It's like, dude, can you not stand in, like, the one spot where it's actually going to be uncomfortable? Can you move your booty butt, please? Percy's sitting right next to me, giving me dirty looks. But that's an interest. I do think, like, it's interesting that, like, they do note, hey, when these sightings were happening, people who were reporting them, very small pool, and then, like, it'd be like, well, if Steve, I don't know the name of the actual guard because it's not listed here, but, like, imagine that, like, hey, I saw a ghost. Do I get the day off? I don't think they're gonna give you the day off for like, especially if you're a security guard or whatever. Like, you know, they'd be like, hey, I saw a ghost. Can I go home? Like, no. You're a security guard. You should be Scooby-Dooing this shit. You have to stay late. There's ghosts. There's ghouls. You can't no, there's a cat, there's a ghost cat. Go find it. One guy's apparently died from a heart attack. When I was a younger Saku, the story I read was very similar to these. There was basically a security guard, and he was doing his rounds, and he was going down into the basement of the Capitol building into, like, one of the records rooms, and he had his flashlight, and he's, like, looking around, you know, just, like, literally doing a quick security check for the evening, and he opens up one of the doors, and he sees a cat, but it's huge, like, massive cat. And I can't find the illustration, unfortunately, but it was really scary, and it's just like this black cat, like, hissing, and then it runs at him, and the dude, like, ran back to the elevator and got into the elevator and rode the elevator up to safety, and then he went and told the other security guards, and they all went back down, and they're like, we didn't find anything. We don't think you saw a giant cat. I do want to show this really quick, just because I think history is cool and interesting. So this... Okay, see this? That's the little paw prints from the cats. Now, some people have said this is the ghost cat's footprint in stone. There's a really easy explanation for this, that some cat just walked in before the stone had set. You know, they're like, all right, we gotta, like, resurface these floors, and then some cat's like, ba, 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 la, la, ba, ba, da. But I think it's cool, and it's like this little, like, you know, people will be like, ghost cat footprints right there, demon cat. I don't know why I think he's a demon cat. I think it's just it works well, DC, demon cat, you know? But he's not really demonic. He's just, like, pissed off. I'd be pissed off, too. Imagine you're just, like, laying around sleeping and someone comes in and bothers you. You're just, you know, vibing, having a good old time, and then someone comes in and is like, rawr. I like that he has, like, again, I like when the creatures have rules, you know? I think it's interesting when they're like, okay, he doesn't kill people. He's not safe if you have a heart condition. He's not approved for people with heart conditions. DC, there's a bunch of videos. One of the things I don't like with modern YouTube, so much of the content is like, hi, this is Steve. I'm here to talk about the demon cat. Did you? And they recount, like, the same information, and some of the information is erroneous. There have been reports that the demon cat has not been seen for a long time, which I think is interesting. Because, like, you know, people would be like, hey, I saw the demon cat. Yeah, I saw him. And then, like, you know, like World War II, there were some reported sightings. Then you don't really hear about the demon cat until, like, you know, the Kennedy assassination. and then you don't really hear about him again. Like, it's like, it's gotta be, I guess, a big event to wake DC up. DC's not showing up because, like, it's like it's like, oh, let's pass a new tax for stamps. DC's like, I'm not coming out for that. I'm here for the big stuff. I'm here for, like, major events. The stock market crash. But then, like, it's interesting because, like, even if you take into account, like, the early ones are like, oh, well, that dude was just drunk. He was just passed out drunk, and a cat licked him, and he thought it was a giant cat. I'm like, I don't like your story. I don't buy that story. The demon cat. It doesn't track well, I don't think that tracks well. I do want to talk about DC a little bit more. If you would like to learn more, they did do an extra history on DC too. Extra history is very, very cool. Cats are just, like, one of those things that are generally, like, linked to the supernatural and to the otherworldly. Cats are seen, cats have been deified, they've been worshipped, and they never forgot it. Cats have never forgot, like, hey, you used to worship us. Now they make us wear little mittens and tell us we're cutie bagooties. Like, oh, stop it. Stop telling me I'm cute. They are cute. I'm just looking over my notes here. I think we've all heard, like, Bastet. I could do a whole thing just about regular cats, but I'm trying to find... here we go. Okay, so the demonic connection to cats is also found among Zoroastrians, who take the perceived division between cats and dogs into a wholly more serious area of debate. They believe dogs are the animals belonging to Ormuzd, the defender of good, while cats are the animals of Amrin, the prosecutor of all evil. In Persian tradition, nearly all of the false gods are depicted with a cat's head, but in Muslim belief, it is the dog that is outcast and cursed, and the cat is respected for its received blessing from the prophet. Okay. Romans saw them as companions to gods. I'm just looking over it really quick here. Here we go. Under Christian influence, the cat became increasingly associated with a lack of restraint and eventually with the devil. The cat became the primary animal familiar of the witch, a sign that the cat's owner was up to no good. Cat superstitions are widespread. For instance, sailors take care not to use the word cat when they are at sea. What you say in front of a cat will not necessarily remain a secret. A black cat that crosses your path will bring you bad luck. Those are, like, three, like, really common, like, oh, cats, like, so, like, you have people who are hearing superstitions about cats, and then, like, they see it, and then, like, cats can scare the shit out of you. Like, any cat owner, Atomic, you have Pippin. You ever just sitting at home, it's late at night, you're laying in bed, you got your little snacks, got your drinky, maybe you're, like, listening to something, or just watching TV, watching a movie, and you hear, like, some noise somewhere in the house, and you're alone, and or that there's no one else at home, like, at that moment, and you're like, what the hell was that noise? And then you go look, and it's your cat, like, in some weird spot, like, doing some creepy shit. Both of my cats, Gambit and Percival. Gambit used to do this all the time, and then Percival does it sometimes, because Gambit didn't like him getting in there with him. Up in the closet in Tower, there's a closet I don't use that much, and there's, like, it's like angled shelves that are built into the wall, and I don't put anything on those shelves. I don't use that closet. And what Gambit would do is he would jump into that closet and go way back in there, and you can't really see from you can't see this closet space at all if you're standing out in the hall. Like in the room that this closet's in, you can't see it. I only know it's there because, you know, I know it's there. So like you'd be, if you're in that room, every once in a while I'd be in that room, like, you know, moving stuff or cleaning or whatever, and I would like, and I'd hear something moving in there. I'd be like, what the hell is that? And it was always him, just like, you know, rolling around, just crashed out. And when I got Percival, I brought Percival home, and Gambit loved Percy. Gambit was like, this is my baby. He's my son. Percival was less enamored with Gambit because I brought Percival home, and he was really little, and like Tower has a lot of stairs, so I didn't want to get like a full litter box because I was like, I don't want to have like litter boxes all over the house. We already have 2. I don't want to have a third one, and I definitely don't want to have one in like in the middle floor of the house. That's a long-term litter box. But I also didn't want him to get hurt going up or down the stairs, and I didn't want to have to like constantly carry him up and down the stairs if he needed to use the bathroom, because that's not good for him. So I made him a little litter box out of an Amazon box. I just took like an Amazon box and I just like put a little liner in it, and I filled it with cat litter, and like I put it down, and like this was not a big Amazon box. This was like a kitten-sized Amazon box. And Gambit sees this, and Gambit was not a bit. Gambit's not like a Maine Coon. He's not a massive cat, but he wasn't itty bitty. He gets in it, and Percival's watching him, and Gambit pooped in his litter box. And I'm just like, dude, you have your own litter box. You have a full-size litter box. And Percival's just like, he's shit in my box. They loved each other. They played all the time. What was I talking about? What led me to this? But yeah, cats. You know, cats are very similarly to owls and snakes and toads and frogs and almost any other animal. There are innumerable stories about them being like linked to the supernatural or to the otherworldly. So it's not shocking that people would be like, hey, this cat in DC is supernatural and weird. I'll even add a little something else to this for you. I'll give me one sec. Let's see here. I am grabbing this. Give me one sec. I was just gonna do DC, but I've got a little more time, so we'll do it. We'll do a 2-part cat thing for you all. So this is Cat Sith. This is Cat Sith. So let me tell you a little bit about Cat Sith. For the record, this is an illustration from More English Fairy Tales from the story The King of Cats. Is a fairy creature from Celtic mythology. It's said to resemble a large black cat with a white spot on its chest that walks on its hind legs. Imagine this thing just walking on its hind legs towards you. That would freak me. If I saw a cat just walking on its hind legs, just going about its business, that would freak me out. Legend has it that the spectral cat haunts the Scottish Highlands. The legends surrounding this creature are more common in Scottish folklore, but a few occur in Irish. Some common folklore suggests that Cat Sith was not a fairy, but a witch that could transform into a cat 9 times. The cat has been inspired by, it may have been spotted by the Scottish wildcat itself. Furthermore, it is possible that the legends were inspired by Kellis cats, which are a distinctive hybrid between Scottish cats and domestic cats found only in Scotland. okay, so a bunch of people are like, they could have just seen like a Scottish wildcat, or they could have seen one of these Kellis cats. Let me see one of these Scottish wildcats. I'll put an image up for y'all. Oh, I thought this was gonna be wild. It's just a cat. It's just a cat. I thought this was gonna be like I'm like Scottish wildcats. I don't think I know what this is a Scottish wildcat. It's just a cat. Like, if I saw that, I'd be like, that's just someone's cat, man. That's not... It's just a cat. It's just a cat. Let me see what these Kellis cats look like. If they're, I swear to God, if this is just a picture of a cat, it's gonna be just a picture of a cat. Okay, this is more what I was thinking of. Okay, this is a Kellis cat. Give me one sec. I'm grabbing this. Okay, so this is a Kellis cat, which is apparently a crossbreed between, like, Scottish wild cats and domesticated cats. This is a Kellis cat. Now that's freaky. That looks like the drawing. It's like if you saw that walking on its hind legs towards you, be like, I'd freak out too. That's scary. Let's see. Let me grab my article here. It's described as being as large as a dog and chooses to display itself with its back arched and bristles erect. When it thinks no humans are watching, it walks on its hind legs, which is how many of the stories about it being discovered happen. Around humans, they'll try to appear bigger by arching their back and fur and stand... Oh, they do like the cat posture. Oh, so it's like... Oh, get out of here, bot. Nobody has time for your bullshit. Haha. Haha. Get banned. Bot. Sorry, you all didn't see that bot, but the auto mod caught it. That's embarrassing. Imagine getting auto modded. Oh my god. So yeah. So you have this. Some people say it may be a witch or a fae creature of some description. When it's like, nah, man, nobody's watching. I can walk on my hind legs. Wouldn't walking on your hind legs be a lot harder than just walking on your back legs? In the English folktale, The King of Cats, a man comes home to tell his wife and cat, Old Tom, that he saw 9 black cats with white spots on their chest carrying a coffin with a crown on it. One of the 9 cats says to the man, "Tell Tom Tildrum that Tim Tildrum is dead." Old Tom then exclaims, "What? Old Tim is dead? Then I'm the king of the cats." The cat then climbs up the chimney and is never seen again. Holy shit. Imagine you come home and like imagine you're just going along doing your thing and you see 9 cats carrying a coffin. And you go home to tell your wife, because like it's like, I gotta tell my wife and my cat. I love that he was going to tell his cat. He's like, honey, I saw. It's like, what the hell? What the hell, man? And then like his cat just climbed the chimney and was never seen again. I'm the king of the cats now. I am the one who cats. They were believed to steal souls of the recently deceased that hadn't gone to the land of the dead. This would happen when they were crossing over a new body. Before morgues were common, these bodies were kept in a room or in the home in a barn until the body could be buried so people could pay respects to the body. To avoid the soul being taken during this period, people would stay watch. Alright, people would distract the cat away from the body with things like music, games, dance, or catnip. It was also suggested that not to light a fire near the body so that the cat would not be attracted by the heat. Around Samhain, it was custom to leave out a saucer of milk. If you did, your household would receive good luck for the year. If you didn't, they would return the favor and dry up the milk of the house's cows. Okay. The demonic cat sith called Big Ears could be summoned and grant any wish to those who took part in the ceremony. The ceremony required practitioners to burn the bodies of cats over the course of 4 days and nights. That's really sad. And that goes back to the whole thing of Don't hurt animals, please. Please don't hurt any animals. There's a little bit about cat siths in my book. Let me grab this. It's not a huge amount, but it's still interesting. Da, da, da. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. In the Highlands of Scotland, the cat sith, or fairy cat, is a great black cat the size of a large dog. It has a white blaze upon its chest, and its hair sticks up over its arched back. They bear all the hallmarks of the existing Scottish wildcat, being both fierce and highly secretive. They appear as the blazon of many Highland clans, which show a cat ready to strike with outstretched claws. Yeah, so that's pretty much, it's like a basic description. I'd be freaked out. But I love both of these stories because they're very, very different stories. But at the same time, it's like, oh, there are cats, and people, you know, see these cats, and it inspires these stories and these magical beings, and they take on their own life. I think history is really interesting. I think magical creatures being part of human, but there's like a bazillion. Every time I do one of these, I'll sit there and be like, oh man, I could do one about this magical creature. And like, there are so many of these creatures. I will never be able to do them all because there's always another one. You know, and like, you know, there's like the really big ones like vampires and Mothman and dragons and unicorns, which I love talking about those. But then there's like stuff like, you know, DC, and I love those too because they're distinct, and they show kind of a little bit about the history of the people who created them. He's back. He's staring at Atomic. He's gonna take your shoes, Atomic. He's gonna take your shoes and your pie. Give him he wants his stuff. Give it. Give it up. Give him his stuff. I'm waiting, Atomic. I'm waiting, Atomic. Wait a sec. I want to see if I can do something really quick. Ba, 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 ba. Here. This is not going to work, I don't think. Nope. Nope. Select. Let me see here. Back. Aha! I did it. Now I have a tail. There. I did it. I did it. If you'd like to learn more about DC, there any of the sort of ghost story books of DC, or the myths and legend books of DC, there's like a little. There's not enough lore on him to like spawn an entire book just about DC, but I love that he always pops up. I love that he always makes a little appearance. I really wanted to do a Stings, Wings, and Other Things about him because I think that he's special. I think he's a cool little dude. He's stuck around for a very, very long time. He's been around for more than 200 years. That's a long time to, you know, continue to inspire people to talk about you when you're only going to show up for, like, major historical events. I'm moving my Redeem art back down here really quick because I don't like it being up there. It bothers me. DC is an interesting little critter. I think he definitely belongs in Stings, Wings, and Other Things. And I will also throw the Cat Sith in there too. They're both interesting creatures. I enjoy them. Especially DC. DC is a cool little critter. I don't like that he's like, sort of like, again, it's like, oh, he's like a ghost cat, and he's pissed off because you woke him up, and he, you know, I'm like, I like that. I don't like when they're like, he's a demon, and he's like, brrr. It's like the Mothman. It's like, oh, anytime you're going to see some crazy shit, he's going to show up. No. he's a little fat cat man. He's sleeping. He wakes up, and everyone's like, "Oh, don't trust him." I am sorry this is going to be a shorter stream. It's, when I do the just chatting streams, I never know how long I'm going to go for. And sometimes they're short, especially when it's a slower night. It's the holidays, so people just aren't around as much. I will be back next week. We'll do some other stuff instead of just chatting. We'll have some games. We'll have... Yeah. You're welcome, Atomic. I'll play some more games. We'll do some other stuff. So if you enjoy these, there are a lot of Stings, Wings, and other things up on Twitch, YouTube. Most of them are on YouTube now. The Yule Cat one that I just did, which is like a mini one, is up on Twitch still, but you can catch those. I do these once a month usually, so you're getting... This is the December one. The Yule Cat one was like a mini one that I was like, I'm going to do that because I think it's fun. Just as a quick side note, we are doing the throne thing still. So I'm going to run through kind of like the there's still time stuff. If you want an 8-hour stream next month, go watch YouTube videos. We are hovering around the goal of watch time and could easily go either way. So if you want an 8-hour stream in January, watch some YouTube videos. The Throne contest is going again. For those who don't know, every month for Throne, whoever donates the most to Throne gets to pick what I do for a stream. Baron donated to Throne. Thank you, Baron, and is currently in the lead for that. And we will also be doing I'm going to do little doodles where if you touch Throne this month, you get a doodle of you as a deli bird. I'll probably do those maybe next week. I might wait until the end of December just so I know how many I have to do. We shall see. But yeah, so that's all kind of the stuff that's going on. We are still doing the Brain Injury Association of America. If you want to torture me to play Yakuza and watch Johto, we'd have to meet that goal of $500 before the end of the year. We're currently at $250, so I don't think we're going to get there this year, but we'll finish it off next year. And there are rewards either way, so if when we hit that goal, there's like, I'll play Keep Talking and No One Explodes, we'll play Resident Evil 7, I'll do a whole stream of having to sing. Hi, Momo. I am not a Discord kitten, Momo. Momo, we were talking about you. I'm a demon cat. That's it. I'm putting the demon cat back on screen. I'm getting the demon cat. I am not a Discord kitten. How dare you? I'm getting the demon cat. I'm getting him. This is... DC, get her. DC, get her. Go get her. Momo is bad. Momo is a bad egg. I'm gonna get some druids to bind you in a tree again, like for, I don't know, a million years. You are not a good egg. You are a bad egg. Go follow Momo. Momo does a lot of really, really cool streams about history. We touched on a little bit of history today with DC, the Demon Cat. Momo, you want to see something? We talked about the Sanitary Revolution. Wow, this was kind of like one of Momo's streams. This was like a very low production value version of Momo's stream. But yeah, DC's interesting. He's a little cool critter. He's going to go into the book along with Cat Sith. Yay. ADHD takeover. I can't even claim that. I don't have ADHD. But yeah. I enjoy doing these, y'all. I hope you have fun. I'll probably go stream something in Discord if anyone wants to come and hang out over there, because this was a shorter stream. I feel bad when I do like the little hour streams because I know everyone streams for like a million years. I stream for as long as I feel like I need to stream. I have pink ears. I can do this. Wow, wow, now I really look like a cat. I could put my... I'm like an evil cat. I am DC. Give me $5. I'm just gonna come walking down your hallway and turn into an elephant. I do not know why. I do not know why. Like, all of the stories about DC are from, like, John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln. I'm like, okay, but what about James Garfield? I mean, James Garfield it's like, we don't have that many of those assassinations. Like, there's some attempted assassinations. There's, you know, there's the time someone jumped out and tried to shoot, Andrew Jackson. Oh my god, the Andrew Jackson assassination attempt was insane. So that dude, Andrew Jackson is, like, one of the worst presidents we ever had. He's a horrible human being and just absolute dog shit. But Andrew Jackson basically is, like, you know, going to an event, and his attempted assassin jumps out of the bushes and is like, blam! Has 2 guns. Point blank range. Pulls the trigger, and nothing happens. And Andrew Jackson proceeds to beat the ever-loving shit out of him. With a stick. Just beats the hell out of this guy. And, like, they examine the weapons after the fact, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with these. We don't know why he's not, you know, perforated with bullets. Andrew Jackson was also crazy, because he just dueled people all the time. He would just be like, I wish I think he famously said his only regrets were he didn't shoot a guy before he died. And Andrew Jackson got into a duel with some guy who was, like, famous for dueling, and allowed himself to be shot so he could take as much time as possible to line up his next shot. And he had health problems for the rest of his life because he allowed himself to be shot in the chest because of an imagined slight against him. Absolute shithead. Absolute shithead. I love DC peeking over the wall at me. Momo, thank you for coming in to say hello. I appreciate you. I am not a Discord kitten, though. Don't start that shit. Or I will shun you, just like I shun Atomic. We'll probably go watch something in Discord. I don't know. Momo's gonna be... If you want to join Momo's Discord, she's gonna be watching Death by Lightning next week. Oh, I swear to God. And we are also... Oh, Momo is doing her debut. Her new model debut. And... Momo is... I think you can still donate to Momo's charity. Momo is raising money for a legal fund that helps people. So Momo's always doing stuff. Momo's a pretty cool... Momo's a brat, but Momo's a pretty cool streamer. I guess we like her. I guess. You're doing it January 30th. Yeah. Doing it to January 30th. Yeah, Momo, you've almost hit that goal. Your goal was $300, and last time I looked, I think you were at, like, what, 250, 275? Momo's like, I don't know if I can raise enough money. Ooh. And it's like, every time Momo does a thing, like, within, like, the first 10 minutes, it's, like, funded $275. Wow. So $25. Go donate $25 to Momo. I will be back next week. I am still bouncing around about what I want to do, but we'll, you know, I'll probably play some games and we'll hang out and vibe and do cool stuff. If you want to come hang out in my Discord, we'll be watching something in there in a few minutes. Until next time, Pebbles, remember to play more games, be safe, and I will catch y'all soon. Bye-bye.